Animal shelters. They evoke images of wagging tails and hopeful eyes, places where lost pets find safety and abandoned animals find love. Yet this idyllic picture masks a darker reality. Behind the smiling faces and heartwarming adoption stories lies a grim truth. Many shelters, despite their compassionate facade, operate with a shocking lack of empathy for the very creatures entrusted to their care. This exposé will pull back the curtain on the dark side of animal shelters, revealing the harsh realities that animals face within their walls. Shelters are often seen as the last line of defense for vulnerable animals. They are where we bring strays, surrender our pets when times get tough, and look to adopt new furry family members. We trust these institutions to provide care, compassion, and a chance at a better life for animals in need. But what happens when the very places meant to protect them become prisons of despair? What happens when the promise of sanctuary turns into a death sentence? The heartbreaking truth is that many shelters are failing the animals they are supposed to serve. They have become places where hope fades with each passing day, and where euthanasia, not adoption, is often the default solution. This is not a judgment on the many compassionate individuals who work tirelessly in shelters, often battling against the system itself. This is an indictment of a system that has lost its way, a system that prioritizes expediency over compassion, and a system that needs a radical overhaul. Euthanasia. It's a word that strikes fear and sadness into the hearts of animal lovers. In the context of animal shelters, it represents a tragic failure, a failure to uphold the very values of compassion and care they claim to espouse. While shelters might argue that euthanasia is a necessary evil, a last resort for terminally ill or aggressive animals, the reality is far more disturbing. Euthanasia is often the go-to solution for perfectly healthy and adoptable animals, simply because shelters lack the resources, the space, or frankly, the will to save them. The reasons behind this euthanasia epidemic are complex and multifaceted. Shelters often operate with limited budgets, inadequate staffing, and a constant influx of animals. However, these challenges do not excuse the callous disregard for life that pervades many shelters. Instead of focusing on adoption initiatives, community outreach, and proactive programs to reduce intake, many shelters choose the easiest, albeit the most heartbreaking option: ending a life instead of saving one. This culture of euthanasia is perpetuated by an outdated and inhumane philosophy that views animals as disposable commodities. It's a mindset that fails to recognize the inherent value of each individual animal life and instead sees them as numbers on a spreadsheet. It's a system that has become desensitized to the suffering and the silent pleas of the animals in its care. Many shelters rely heavily on public donations. Well-meaning individuals open their hearts and their wallets, believing their contributions will directly improve the lives of animals in need. However, the truth about how these donations are used is often far from transparent. While some funds undoubtedly go towards essential care, a significant portion is often misdirected, lining the pockets of administrators or funding expensive advertising campaigns that prioritize image over impact. Instead of using donations to improve living conditions, provide enrichment for the animals, or fund adoption events, many shelters prioritize self-preservation. High salaries for executives, lavish fundraising galas, and misleading marketing campaigns designed to tug at heartstrings become the priority, while the animals themselves languish in overcrowded and understimulated environments. This lack of transparency and accountability is a betrayal of the public's trust. Donors deserve to know that their contributions are being used responsibly and ethically. Shelters must be held accountable for every dollar received, ensuring that the well-being of the animals remains the paramount concern.